Welcome back, disc golf fans, to Gatekeeper Media's coverage of the 2023 Discraft Great Lakes Open presented by Grip 6, a disc golf pro tour playoff, the first of the year, 41st edition as well. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Nathan Queen, again joined by Andrew Fish.
And this back nine is fun, challenging, punishing. We're going to go up the hill and then down the hill and then up the hill and then down the hill. That is the theme of the Kensington Toboggan course. Chris Dickerson out to a 5 under start. Aaron Gossage just behind him at 4 under. And Calvin Heimburg and Isaac Robinson looking to make up some ground with their 1 under starts through the front 9.
Yeah, Kevin Jones and Eagle McMahon battling out in front. Chris Dickerson trying to make a charge on him from chase card.
Hole 10, 650 feet, par 4. Fairway snakes a little bit. I think for these right-hand, backhand players, going to throw something with some right drift and left finish. And then high floor, low ceiling as we continue climbing back up toward the road. Pretty difficult green to access if you're not in a real honey spot. Wind seems fairly muted right now, perhaps some left to right, as that is grabbing Isaac Robinson's.
Yeah, we've seen this a few times already this round from Isaac. He seems to be a bit on the late side, maybe just opening up a bit early. But still got some pretty good distance on that one.
I think generally Isaac likes slightly understable discs that he can throw nose up to make them act overstable, but that's kind of difficult to do when the wind is challenging and you've got to deal with the up and down.
And this looks like an incredible tee shot from Chris Dickerson that just moves slightly to the left. He's got past a big branch and may have an open swing.
Yeah, he's certainly gone far enough to make a manageable distance. It's a matter of what kind of stance and what kind of swing he'll have. Gossage going to go big hyzer. I don't think we've seen this play quite yet.
Yeah, somebody told me that they did this, and he got up to the top of the hill, moves a bit to the left. That takes a good amount of power on that hyzer to get all the way up to the top of the hill.
Yeah, Gossage must be thinking the simplicity of the hyzer is worth the loss of distance by being able to throw something with some flex on it.
Calvin Heimburg absolutely striping the fairway. He's going to be in the ideal position.
Yeah, position A with that eagle shot. And Gossage, the first to throw his second, does have a good little hyzer lane, but can't manage his footwork quite right. Early release.
Yeah, it looks like the tall grass made him kind of run up from right to left, which is not your typical run up to throw a hyzer, causing him to let go a little bit early.
Isaac pinched here, and unicorn alert. Gonna chip with that forehand, and does a pretty darn good job with it.
Yeah, he's up there in between those trees, which is going to leave him an open backhand approach shot now.
Yeah, but did the job. I think from that position, he was going to take 4 at best regardless, so make it easy on yourself. Heimburg, great shot. He tests all of the ceiling, gets himself a circle 1 putt for the relatively rare birdie on hole 10.
There were definitely more birdies today than I expected there to be. Chris Dickerson having to go standstill was a bit pinched off, but that is a huge drive.
Yeah.
And it shows right there. He's able to get that standstill with the little whisker tickler.
Perhaps a little fortunate to fight through some branches. Gossage tries to throw his own zone into the chains. Comes up a little long.
This is such a steep slope right here. And misrelease there from Isaac.
Yeah, unforced error. It's not a full stroke. He's got the chance to save the par.
That looked tentative.
Yeah, perhaps expecting the headwind lift. I think if you got to pin anything, or pin the bogey on anything, it's that third shot. Heimburg able to convert for that birdie. And here's Gossage going to come back down the hill for his par. This is similar to what he had on hole 8 for par. I'm interested to see how he changes his routine or stance or swing.
Looks like one of the rings in there is a bit crooked. Calvin was trying to figure out how to fix it for Aaron here. Looks like it's still crooked in there, though.
And a little left side on Heiser, but does catch for Gossage. And Dickerson very close here. He's fortunate to have caught in that little gully. That's kind of the head of a stream system, or I guess an ephemeral stream system that slopes very steeply off the right side of the screen, makes it more difficult to get there.
Yeah,
And
2 birdies on this card. Pretty well executed. Not sure you're going to see that throughout the day.
And I think they're 1 link short somewhere.
Moving into hole 11, we've got a bit of a shorter basket placement here. 442-foot par 3 at the bottom of the hill rather than the top of the hill here. Much more gettable, although it is still a pretty difficult shot.
Yeah, I agree. You have to get some late flex to get to the long pin. This one you can kind of drive a mid-range, a fairway driver, a forehand, whatever's good for you through this gap and let it float down to the right. Dickerson, this needs to continue to the right. Looks like it's going to fade on him late.
Yeah, slow enough disc that fade didn't really matter too much. He's inside circle 1.
And I promise I'm doing the best I can. This is just a really, really hard fairway to read from the tee pad.
The slopes of just the toboggan course out here makes it a bit harder to read. This is looking great.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see continuous right movement. And Calvin with just enough stability to catch up late and get himself another birdie opportunity. We'll see that forehand out of Aaron Gossage. Looks like he's kind of lining up the low side. I have heard of people throwing big hyzer over the left also.
Is going low, trying to hit that gap, but going to be inside. Does well to kick out to the left and be out in the open. Looking at an up and down for par.
Isaac Robinson, mid-range. This is a little inside. Seems to find a nice window. Follows Calvin over to the right side to a circle 1 opportunity also.
Yeah, just skirts those branches. Still, we've seen him right quite a few times today. That time is going to work out. Aaron Gossage does what he has to do from there.
Yeah, that's the damage control. Nothing wrong with that. And
A little bit of wind, a little bit of tricky stance, maybe. I don't know.
Like, I don't know what to say about that. I don't think I've seen Chris Dickerson airball in quite some time. Isaac Robinson converts this putt once again to 1 under, but I don't think he's gotten beyond that this entire round, even though he's gotten to 1 under 3 or 4 different times.
Right. And Calvin Heimburg able to go back-to-back now, get his farthest under par 3 down, back inside that top 10.
And, you know, we're talking about scores because that's what we have to do as commentators. I think as a player, you don't want to get sucked into thinking about scores too much because all of these holes are sort of bonusy. And hole 12 continues that theme. 344 feet, playing more like 443. Steeply uphill. I'd say a backhand flip up, or perhaps hyzer if you have the power, as well as a counterclockwise spin that has some flex on it. Calvin will be able to play that pretty stable shot, pushes the back wall, and has enough speed to carry up into the circle, even with the basket. That is so huge, Nathan.
That's an incredible shot. This fairway just keeps getting a little smaller each year as the branches on the left come out into the fairway more. And to be able to throw your disc fast enough to get around that corner and not be immediately fading off to the left and losing all of its momentum is incredible.
Just a touch wider right is Isaac Robinson, and going to pay for it as he drops down on the edge. Maybe able to take a little spinny extra look from outside circle 2 at that. Dickerson, not quite Calvin's power, so he tries to play the flip up and is going to get tagged down to the left.
Yeah, pretty common there. It's very tight to get that backhand shot up there. And some good forehands on this card showing that it's a lot of distance to get that forehand up there.
Yeah, unquestionably. It's wildly different to be able to throw a flat ground forehand at 443 effective distance than it is putting it nose up and controlling that. Gossage, I like this, but that too is going to push into the right side.
Yeah, dancing all around, and you see the flags down there at the bottom pushing left to right, making it pretty difficult to not hit that right side.
But in general, I think these are pretty reasonable outcomes. Everyone in position to take the automatic par or better if they want it. Don't get yourself in trouble by being too aggressive on this uphill bonus bid, though.
Yeah, another one that can hit that base or hit the basket and take a nice roll.
Or an unnice roll, depending on your perspective. Isaac does try to take that poke, and brings us to Calvin Heimburg.
Gobble, gobble.
Yeah, real quick getting to 4 down on this back. Slow start, and now picking it up as a Calvin will do. And otherwise uneventful par cleanups for the card. Nothing wrong with that.
Leads us into hole 13, 526-foot downhill par 3. Got to get just to the left of this tree on a hyzer and maybe skip just before or just after those rocks to get up here to the right side and possibly get yourself inside circle 1. This is going to be a forehand or lefty backhand play. Righty backhand, I guess, is possible, but very difficult to execute.
Yeah, you just have to throw it so perfect to make it work.
Yeah, all shots on this hole really just have to be perfect to get the birdie.
Heimburg pretty early, going to be buried on the right side, although right is preferable to left of that tunnel. Isaac Robinson tries to throw it perfectly, but grabs one outer limb. Boost down near Calvin, I think.
Yeah, pretty nice reaction. Usually, if you hit that tree out in the open, that is where you stop at. He did kind of punch through there and get a lot closer.
And Dickerson, this might be another alternative play. Yeah, the late landing, very flippy roller. And he did everything right with that shot. Once you hit the ground, you're kind of at the mercy of what reaction you get. So he's in about circle 2 with a chance to put it in, and one of the safer greens on the course.
Gossage going with that snappy forehand. He gets through that little gap on the tree. That's the line. And he is going to scoot himself inside circle 1 or right on the edge of it.
Yeah, that's huge. Tested the entire ceiling, kept the disc up there and spinning. I think as a counterclockwise spinner, you got to like all of that, Nathan, huh?
Absolutely. I know that gap he hit on that tree well. That's the one. That's the one you want to hit. Much farther left, and you usually catch that left side. As Isaac and Calvin both able to get out, should have an opportunity to get their pars pretty easily.
Yeah, you just pick the biggest gap over there. Trust your putt. Dickerson tries to give it a bid. Stays pretty close. And from about 24 feet is Aaron Gossage. And back in the birdie column.
Yeah, confident putt there, dead center. Looked strong, felt good about it. We had 2 birdies on this hole yesterday.
In round 1, you mean?
Yes, in round 1. There were 9 birdies the second round.
I don't think the wind was appreciably better or worse. Just everybody figured out how to get this one.
Yeah, they were upset, you know. Like, we can't let a hole only have 2 birdies on it. Got it up to double digits very quickly today. Aaron Gossage, one of those. And then the rest of them doing what almost the rest of the field did. A 78% took a par.
Hole 14, 800 feet, a par 4. Constrained by OB on both the left and right the entire way up here. Got to wrap around the basket also. Put yourself in a reasonable position at the bottom of the hill, maybe on the upslope by a little bit. And then pretty generous left side has been cleared out. Most likely slight tailwind and or right to left cross. Although we're back in kind of the open area that gets pretty swirly, Nathan.
That's so bad, dude. Sit down. Cut roll. Yes. Thank you.
Hey, look at that little nice bounce there. You're not going to see that too often.
Yeah, I don't know if Aaron even knows. He's so upset with his release that he might not have even seen the good fortune to get back in. Heimburg, Heiser release, pops up to flat for a little bit, and this is covering some real ground.
Just absolute smash of a tee shot. Probably getting close to that 450, 470 range.
Yeah, giving himself a manageable approach into this green. You have to bite off quite a bit. Like the height here from Isaac Robinson as he tests the right side OB and then swings back still with plenty of room on the left.
Yeah, didn't get quite as much distance as Calvin did, but well executed tee shot in bounds.
The D-Glow organizers keep finding ways to challenge us. We used to play a shorter tee pad to the same pen position with no OB. Last year they moved us back about, 200 feet or so, and now constraining with out of bounds. So far, 4 successful tee shots, although Aaron with the good fortune to bounce back in.
Yeah, and he really didn't cover much distance, I don't think. I mean, I've been wrong about how far people throw a few times this year, but I don't think that pin's really going to be all that accessible for him.
No, this hill is unforgiving.
And well executed there. Going to be up at the top of the hill. Should be pretty easy up and down from there.
And Isaac throwing the pretty difficult Anheuser that holds uphill. Does come up short, kind of joining Aaron in that neighborhood. Both should be able to give a little jump putt approach, possibly a half throw.
Have you looked at what this whole average? Do you know that?
I have no idea.
What's your guess?
I would say right at 4. About as many birdies as bogeys.
We see a great shot there.
Probably put Dickerson in that birdie column.
Yeah, looks like he is. Surprising to me, you're not far off. It is a 3.92. I'm surprised at this whole average under par. Very long. And to get that far, you have to throw pretty hard with the OB left and right.
I think the slight tailwind helped that a little bit.
Yeah, it was a bit of a tailwind today. 14 players able to card the birdie and 8 players with the bogey.
And Gossage is going to make that a very routine par. We'll see how much Isaac wants to put this above the basket. His low limbs can be a little bit of a blocker, but he's going to also get an easy par. Calvin from circle 2.
Calvin Heimburg, a slow front 9 where you really want to score, is now 4 down on the back 9 with a circle 2 look here. Dead center with authority, had plenty of pace left.
Yeah, from downtown is Calvin Heimburg. Still no emotion. Here's Dickerson from just outside the whiskers of the bullseye.
Yeah, having more of the round we're used to seeing. Hot front 9, getting a birdie or 2 on the back where he can. He's sitting at 7 down and in solo third at the moment.
Yeah, and to me, the best part of that is clean sheet. I don't think he's had a stressful par yet.
Hole 15, a pretty stressful par for me and probably a lot of other players. 960-foot par 4. Ideally, you'd like to carry to about this point somewhere on that fairway, right side or left side, so you can have a look to flex around the corner to the basket if you want a birdie. Playing for par, try to get to that first tee pad, then pitch around the corner and have your next up shot looking straight at it.
Today, a little bit of headwind, some left to right. Calvin Heimburg going to solve that problem with stability, and he pushes well around the corner.
That's so good.
Yeah, that gravel patch is an old tee pad, about 400 feet away, so Calvin should be looking at the basket with a chance to maybe even go fairway driver if he's feeling it. Dickerson pushing a touch straighter. I don't think he's going to get the left skip, and that keeps him in the 500-foot neighborhood.
Yeah, with a little bit of left to right movement needed, he's going to have to throw a little bit of a flex shot, I believe.
Gossage, a little more inside, and still to a very good spot. Looks straight at the basket from there.
Isaac Robinson getting a good move on this one as well, pushing to a similar position as Chris Dickerson. Not quite going to get that big skip, going to be looking at that 500-foot range.
Test number 1 for everybody is passed. They are around the first part of the corner and not in the rough.
Yeah, big check mark there. It's a scary tee shot to stare down that 70-foot drop.
And a very nice shot from Dickerson. Does pull it to the right a touch, and you just don't know. He might be inside 100 feet with no great way of getting to the basket, but covered quite a bit of ground there.
So Isaac probably just a pace or 2 away from where Dickerson was at.
Wind also holding that shot over to the right, but has some more stability. Looking up from the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, that's 55 feet maybe.
Playing like 95. Perhaps a little slip from Gossage, and he is going to fade out to the left. That is pure jungle on the left side. Pitch out required. I say pitch out, not to the fairway, but he will not be running a putt from even inside circle 2.
And Calvin Heimburg maybe just a foot farther left than ideal position. Gonna just kind of have this tree in his mind, and it does make him pull it out to wide to the right with a little bit too much hyzer. He's also gonna come up short into a bush.
Yeah, you just don't have room to swing wide into this green either from the left or the right. You have to be moving straight at it, which is hard for everybody, even at 425 feet. You can see,
Oh man,
littlest bit of Gossage in there. I wonder what gap he's going to try to manufacture here.
Yeah, big trouble there, but he's able to punch out, had to go back behind the basket just to find a gap. And look at that putt coming back.
Yeah, no thank you. He's had a couple of those. He was most successful on hole 10, coming back down. And Heimburg also successful to get out.
So Isaac a bit closer than that 55, and he's able to connect.
That's just so clean, Nathan.
Look how that's so far uphill, and that still just looked like so little effort.
Yeah, the casual wrist flick. When he gets going in that circle 2, I don't know that there's anyone who makes it look easier. There are people whose stats might be a little better, but it just looks so effortless.
And this did play as the hardest hole on the course today. Isaac Robinson, one of just 3 birdies. Cole Radalin and Simon Lazat able to birdie as Aaron Gossage hits a nice par putt.
Yeah, keeps the round moving. And I'm sure this was well above par for the day, right?
4.37.
Yeah, so just taking a par is gaining you a third of a stroke on the average player in this field. Hole 16, 396 feet, a par 3, a little bit downhill into slight headwind to raging headwind depending on the day. Island green this year, and that's about 60 feet short of the basket, so need to carry in the neighborhood of 330. Don't have a whole lot of room on the backside, although if you're going to go OB, back there is the best place to do it. Robinson, this is pretty right.
Yeah, and a trend we've seen this round, a little bit to the right. Catches a late kick. I don't believe he made it to inbounds at any point, which would put him proceeding to the drop zone.
Calvin Heimburg, little bit of rightward drift, and then the stability.
Needs to settle. Oh, yeah.
Settle it does. About 8 feet away. Great shot from Venny to just match the slope and match the gaps in those cedars.
Yeah, making a push on this back 9, that to put him 5 down on the back and 6 for the round. Chris Dickerson with just an absolute stripe job. Trying to put it closer than Calvin. Going to card himself another birdie as well.
Yeah, Calvin puts his ante in. Chris calls. And as good as that shot was, it is only 1 foot from out of bounds.
If even. My foot's not fitting in between there.
You're no dainty size 7, right?
I am not.
Gossage going to go to the backhand. Looks like mid again. Flat release, headed right for the center cedar.
Oh, and gets a wind lift. Is he going to stop too? No, he gets out of bounds, but does cross inbounds. So should have a closer putt than we see here from Robinson. This is scary right here. Right at OB. And luckily he was on line. So just going to tap in the 4.
Yeah, this is such an enticing drop zone because it is a very makeable putt. Gossage from a couple steps closer. Similar angle.
Didn't want anything to do with it. You see that OB just behind the basket where Chris Dickerson is at. Creeps in so quickly off of these putts. Very easy to double bogey.
And confident tap in from Chris Dickerson. Real quick, 8 down, tied for second.
Also real quick, 6 down all of a sudden on this back 9. Into solo 4th.
See a couple bogeys on the card, but that's kind of what hole 16 seems to be doing.
Yes, indeed. Pretty close to even par on the day. Hole 17. Another hole over par. 840-foot par 4. Got to carry either OB on the left side with a flex shot, or you've got a backhand hyzer out over the road that can end up in some tall stuff on the right, or push all the way back to OB left. Pretty small landing area if you want flat footing.
The other option is just trying to overthrow that landing zone, get as far as you can, and then figure it out after, as Heimburg is doing. Not in a bush, but I don't know what's in front of him.
Yeah, this play was a lot more viable last year and the years before when that rough wasn't quite as tall. It's gotten a lot taller now, and you're not necessarily guaranteed to have any type of swing if you blast in there.
Dickerson also going to go with the straighter play. Sets that angle, slight anhyzer, and going to drag it over the stable disc to try to fight the wind and glide out. Pretty similar spot to Heimburg, maybe 20 feet shorter.
And that is the miss. You know, you don't want to not turn it over enough and end up fading out OB.
Yeah, you might not have a great stance, but you've only thrown one time.
Isaac with a pretty similar looking shot, has a bit more drift, and is going to be a bit farther back on the right, but similar distance.
And Gossage going to do his routine, get the grip right, line it up. And hyzer out over the road, maybe not fully over the road, and that has a chance to swing all the way back left.
Yeah, and so close. It looks like he is going to cross in bounds way up there.
And Isaac Robinson, forced to stand still, has to just kind of sling a hyzer up to a second landing zone. Even those are difficult to get, and then leaves a touchy uphill shot. Chris throwing to Narnia on the right side of the green.
Gonna come up just a little bit short. And probably have a circle 2 pitch up. Might be difficult to run from where he's at.
And still could have a Russian olive taller than himself between him and the bucket or surrounding his disc. Calvin brought several options with him. Chooses to go with the driver that's going to fade out into that left side, I think.
Yeah, just a little bit too much height or nose up on that one. Didn't get it out wide enough. So Aaron now, this is maybe 350, if even, to try to get up and down for par.
Yeah, he got all the distance before he went out, which is good for his scoring potential. He isn't going to climb the hill fully, so probably in circle 2. Isaac well executed to about 20 feet, almost on the flat with the basket. And you called it a circle 2 pitch up for Dickerson.
And tap-in par is not bad here on hole 17.
Calvin does scare the basket briefly. And Aaron for the par. Whoa.
Oh boy.
No wind, dude. How does it lift?
Lots of pace on that one, and it lifted up over. He's got a scarier putt from there, and gonna end up short.
Yeah, and you can see the obvious frustration. I think Aaron had a little bit of self-inflicted misery earlier, but I think the way this course is set up, it wants to make you stress down the stretch here on these last few holes and crank up the pressure.
Yeah, especially so with this change here on 18.
Chris runs back from the tee of 18 to tap in his routine par. And I'll tell you about hole 18. 660 feet, par 4, uphill, 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 constrained by OB on both the left and right. And then it's going to continue turning to the right, some newly cleared out area. That's the FPO basket. We're going to keep going around to the right. Roller is a play, backhand is a play, forehand is a play, but you have to throw this tee shot so far and so perfectly into a pretty small landing zone to give you an angle into the green, which is, again, an aggressive second shot.
And Calvin with a good angle there, but not quite the height. He's going to be a little bit far back for the ideal birdie play.
Yeah, we'll see how aggressive his game plan is. I'm thinking from there, 4 is a pretty good score. Dickerson going to go Anheuser backhand. This is pretty nose up, though. And has floated out of bounds. Really his first teeing mistake of the entire round.
Yeah, been executing very well, and that 8 under score showing you that. Isaac Robinson gets pretty far up the hill. Is it far enough?
With his backhand dominance, he might be able to make something work, but it's so much more complicated than being able to throw a forehand that skips. Gossage high over the out of bounds, trusting the stability and trusting the wind to bring it back in. That's where you need to be, Nathan.
That's incredible.
That's a big forehand. Tested the back line of the out of bounds. Here is Chris's second.
Yeah,
Chris's third.
You don't really see people go over the OB on the left side and come back. That's pretty difficult to do.
Chris seems content to play for the 5. Calvin, inside gap, is going to try to go for the green. Grabs a limb, will stay in bounds, and make a pretty routine up and down for 4.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very happy with that little touch that he got, kicking him out into the fairway and not out of bounds.
Yeah, that's a 50-50. You don't know what you're going to get. Robinson playing the drifting shot.
Oh, my goodness, that's so...
Holy cow.
Inside circle, too, but just the fact that he took that inside gap with that backhand is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's knowing your plastic and your strengths.
Yes. Come on.
And Gossage going to go a touch long. And way to close out. A little bit of adversity on 16 and 17, but I think you can probably mark that one up for a birdie to close.
And Chris, after a pretty hot round, having a bit of a hard time here as he's going to leave that bogey putt well outside of where you'd like to be.
Yeah, a little sloppy on the forehand, not using the appropriate width. Heimburg trying to throw it in. And yikes.
Oh, no. Some over-aggression there from Calvin. Pretty far out. Going to catch a very slow, trickly roll on maybe the flattest green that we have.
And similarly, Isaac saved by a, I don't know if it was a rock, a stick, whatever, but he was tracking out of bounds also. Does stay in. Dickerson saves his bogey. A stellar 7-down round.
Yeah, great 7 under in the windy scoring conditions that we had today.
Mm-hmm.
And Calvin sitting there 6 under par, now putting for bogey after unfortunate. Like it's odd to see him run it that aggressively from that far, but still odd to see it roll out like that too.
Yeah, a couple curious things there. Robinson going to come back for his par. Does so successfully, and that leaves Aaron the last to tap in for what I'm sure is gaining at least a stroke on the field. Surprisingly, 14 birdies on the day. I think everybody figured out how to play a little bit. It's averaging just over 4.1.
Yeah, that's still pretty crazy to me that many birdies happened. Chris Dickerson leading our chase card coverage here today. 7 under par. Calvin Heimburg not far behind with 5.
And you can see it there. A 7 down average is leading this event. They've made the course pretty hard, and people are still making a reasonable attack at it. We're halfway home here at the Discraft Great Lakes Open.
Yeah, happy that you guys have joined us here, and 2 more rounds to go with the 4-round format, this Disc Golf Pro Tour Playoff event. Thank you guys for joining us at Gatekeeper Media. Make sure you tune into the next 2 rounds. For Andrew Fish, I'm Nathan Queen. We'll see you guys out there.